Recently, we did a review of the Prime One Studios Rocksteady, and I mentioned that soon we're going to do his brother from another mother, or his counterpart, Bebop. Guess what this video is about today? Welcome to the Extreme channel. Right now we're focusing on Extreme Collectibles and we have another one in front of us. This is by Prime One Studios. This is Bebop, and I have no idea why I'm talking so fast, so let's slow it down. So Prime One Studios, one of the large statue manufacturers, made this Bebop statue. Bebop is an enemy of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or Turts as I call them. And he is usually associated with Rocksteady, who is a human-like rhino, which I recently did the review you can check out here. Just like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Bebop is mutated. I believe in the cartoons or comics he originally was a pig and then mutated into a humanoid pig. However, in this adaptation from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows movie made, I believe, in 2016, he was actually a human that was mutated into a humanoid warthog. And I'm currently traveling, but I wanted to continue delivering daily content to you guys, so I'm looking at some older pieces. I actually own the 1990s Prime One Studios Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and you're going to see a review on those very shortly. While that doesn't go with this movie, I did own some of the pieces from this movie that we did in a 5,000 sub giveaway a while back. Back then, 5,000 subs, when life was easy. I also mentioned when I did the Rocksteady review that I actually bought both of these as a pair. They were available for sale separately or together. And if you bought them together, you got this awesome Shredder helmet, which we're going to look at during Paint and Sculpt. This is also the second time I'm recording this review because for some reason the video quality came out like crap. So the only people who saw that were the people who are Extreme channel members. You can actually look more into that by hitting that join button below. Also, if you just want to see more Extreme content and funny stuff, check out the Extreme channel Facebook page. The description is in the link below. You can go there, check it out. We just post entertaining stuff. Make sure you not only follow the page, but you like it as well. And while we're soliciting, let's also talk about a statue giveaway. We are going to hit 20,000 subscribers in 2020. To do that, we're giving away a statue every 2,500 subs. At 15,000 subs, the winner will get to choose between these two PCS Mortal Kombat statues. Make sure that you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification. Then stay tuned towards the end of this video to find out how to enter. So Prime One Studios made 500 of these. They made 500 of the Rocksteady. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in value. But this character from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was kind of Shredder's muscle. Shredder was always the main adversary of the Turtles, and they were strong but stupid, which is why Shredder liked to use them. And they portrayed that very well in the Out of the Shadows movie, as well as they do in the comics and the cartoons. And they don't really make a lot of statues of this character. To my knowledge, this may be the only one that's in the 1/4 scale, meaning he's 4 times smaller than he would be in real life. But what we're going to do today, besides talk about the character, we're going to do an Extreme review. We're going to look at close-ups of paint, sculpt, talk about the concept, all those things we do, and we're going to use the Extreme scale. Now, to me, Bebop and Rocksteady are not necessary statues to have if you have a turtle collection. However, it's nice to add on to that, and that's something they did. We'll talk about a little bit in concept and design. But like I said, if you have a Rocksteady, you almost want a Bebop or vice versa. And there has got to be some jokes when you say you got to have a Bebop. But let's take a closer look at this statue, starting with concept. Just like the Rocksteady statue and the turtles from this line, it is on a normal street base. This one's varied a little bit. There's actually a newspaper we're going to look at, and Shredder's helmet is removable. You can put it wherever you want. But Bebop was formerly a biker, so you see him in some biker army boots. Some of them are torn open from the transformation. As you move up him, he has these awesome leather chaps on with spikes. Underneath you can actually see his jeans, which is pretty neat. They have a mixed media chain. So they stuck true to his actual heritage, and I would assume that these are pants he actually bought after the fact because he would have ripped through them like the Hulk during his transformation because he's much larger in the warthog phase. Now he can't go back and forth like the Incredible Hulk, so as you move up to him, what's interesting is while the pants fit him, his jacket does not. You see him in a museum pose. You see his huge fat body coming out. We're going to talk about the details with the paint and sculpt. His brown leather jacket barely covers anything up, but it's kind of comical in a way, just like Rocksteady. There's some badass parts to this statue. There's some comical. These gauntlets with these spikes and chains and him cracking his knuckles kind of relate to that badassery. And his portrait is a little more badass than Rocksteady. It doesn't look as comical other than the fact it's a humanized warthog, and he has those glasses and a mohawk. but I think it rings true to the character, not only the character that was created, but the character in the movie. The likeness is done very well for what is a CGI character. And then, with a museum pose on this, that's not really a surprise, because what would you do? What kind of action pose would you do? So I think the concept is good. I like the fact that the base will pair with the rest of them. You can create a diorama. I like the fact they showed the transformation. There's some comical stuff. There's some badass stuff. He's still a scary guy despite how stupid he is. I think the concept's a 4 out of 5, just like it was on Rocksteady. It's done really well, and they pair really well next to each other. Design, there's not really a lot going on here. So I've owned him for, I think, 3 years or so. And on this piece right here, like we talked about, they have the base. Shredder's helmet is obviously a different piece. I actually keep this with the Turts. And Bebop is a separate piece. That's it. And sometimes less is more. That eliminates seam lines. That eliminates other issues you may have. Let's get the dimensions of him. So the widest point is just right under 14 inches. The deepest point of this statue is a little over 14 inches. And then the tallest point at his mohawk is about 20 and a half, maybe a little bit more. For exact dimensions, go to Prime One Studios website, where they may or may not have them available. There is a little bit of what we call mixed media or fabric, and that is the chain right here, which I typically don't like, but it looks good. The hair on his chest, and he actually has hair in his ears, which we'll take a look at during paint and sculpt. The other thing they have is his glasses are actually removable, so you can display them like I have them here, a little bit over his head, which I prefer. What's cool is you can also put them over his eyes, and I think both looks look great. Now the problem with the design, because it's simple, there wasn't really a lot to give him credit or points for. Now I wouldn't say this is a problem with the design, but because it's not very elaborate, there's not really a lot of props or points you can give them. But overall it's nice. It's right in the middle of 3 out of 5. It's a very good design. I do like the fact that it's a little bit different on the base, but it's still the same, so they can all come together. And let's look at those differences in the paint and sculpt of this piece. So let's start in on this guy. And while a lot of my same comments from the Rocksteady video regarding the base are going to ring true here, there are a few differences. And if you missed that video, I talked about how the underlayer here, showing the street underneath the street, the reds and browns, almost like lava rock, looks fantastic. They did a great job with the texturing, the broken up street. You got to consider this guy probably weighs a ton. Some small pebbles, some great shading in there. But let's look at the Shredder helmet. This is kind of the modernized one from the movies. I like more of the traditional take, but it is pretty cool that they add this. You can put it anywhere you want. This is only, I believe, if you buy the duo pack of both of them together. Some cool shadowing on that. And then they have a newspaper, and I think they just added this to vary it up a little bit. You can't even tell, but it's very dirty, whether it's from rain or dirt. But looking at his costume, he's got these army boots on. Great detail, the stitching, the laces, the lace holes, some folds in there. Very shiny, reflective. Check out his toes. Obviously needs a pedicure. Looks okay. What's interesting here is, to me, this skin color is a little bit different than what we're gonna see up above. It almost looks like there's some green in it. His pants look great. I like the texture on these leather biker pants. He has these spikes coming out, which don't really make a lot of sense, but they look cool. So I appreciate that. These chaps here that he's wearing, a few other straps. And then you see his jeans underneath it. These look great. These look really good, which is unfortunate because you never see this part unless you have him as a centerpiece, which I can't imagine a lot of people would, but they might because this is a diorama. His mixed media chain, one of those few times I think mixed media is okay. His belt buckle right here, even the loops look fantastic on the sculpt and the paint. There's more of his jeans that the chaps are covering. Take a look at his skin. You got a couple things going on here. I love that you have scars and or stretch marks. I have stretch marks like that as well. Mine were from growing fast. I think I grew like a foot in 2 years growing up. But it looks good. I like the colorization on his skin. You do see a little bit of that green. His skin down here is not as texturized or hard like Rocksteady's is, but you'll see that on his arms. Check out his tail. This looks kind of plasticky. A little bit of a miss here, in my opinion. And then he has this mohawk that goes all the way up. It's purple because he was originally purple as a human in the movie. It looks all right. It animates the statue quite a bit more and it stays true to it. So here's his leather jacket. I love all the spikes coming out of it. I like the fact it's not black, it's brown, so it adds a little bit of variance. You see it's almost faded and almost some green and yellow colors in there. Some cool texture on it. I like how both characters have these tats and they look great over this skin, where here it looks like a little bit more of a hide skin. The different colors, different scars in there. He definitely needs some lotion. The hair, the mixed media hair on the front is fantastic. I really like it. Traditionally, I wouldn't, over his huge belly. And really quick, one thing that's cool up here is he has this scar that he's kind of stitched up himself, and this is where you see really that texturized, rocky hide of his skin, and I think the different colors complement it well. Check out these gauntlets, or these wrist coverings on his hands made of spikes and chains. The chains look okay. I think they could have been done much better. They don't look like real chains. And that's only on that, where the other one doesn't have any, but some cool texture on that. Here's his nails, his hands, doing the classic knuckle crack. He's got a few necklaces. Unlike Rocksteady, these are sculpted in. His portrait looks good, not great. So let me show you a few things on this. First, he does have more hair up here in his ears. I think that's a nice effect. I like the top of it right here. Like this part looks very evil. I think they did a great job with the expression on his face, how everything's crunched together. The different coloring in it looks really good with his classic glasses right on top. His eyes look well painted. They look real. But I think where it misses is down here. Moist effect, this looks a little cartoony for me. There's a lot of realism on this statue, not on the inside of his mouth with his teeth and tongue. I think that's a miss. His tusks look good, the bone texture and color on them. And then his beard, maybe it's because it's purple, but this doesn't look good. Maybe more individual strands on it. Right here in the inside of his mouth is kind of that non-realism effect, where the rest of the statue is very, very real. So I think that's where it's just a little bit off for me. But overall, very well done. I think the sculpt from his neck down is phenomenal. It gets a little too cartoonish with his head. Like I talked about, it's kind of a realism statue until you get there. And I don't think there's enough to actually knock it down a grade. So I think the sculpt is still a 4 out of 5. So there's some amazing stuff in the pants and the jeans and the skin. It's really well done. However, I'm not digging the paint as much as I did on Rocksteady. The paint's kind of on the fence for me. I'm kind of between a 3 and a 4. And anytime I'm between two different levels, I always go with the lower one. So we're going to give the paint a 3 on this piece, even though I think there could be an argument for a 4 out of 5. Value-wise, just like Rocksteady, I don't know if they're still available from Prime One Studios. They typically retail at $5.99. There's 500 of each of these made. You can buy them together. I think you get them for like $10.49 or $1,000. And then during their spring or winter sale, if they're in stock, they actually sell them for even less. So I think the value is fantastic. Large 1/4 scale piece. I would say it's actually a 4 out of 5 on the value for this guy. We dive into does this have the X factor? I think it brings up an interesting conversation you can throw down in the comments. I don't think we'd ever find anyone that will agree that a Bebop statue is a Grail. It's just not the realism of it. So this Bebop statue right here, because he is such a secondary or tertiary or quadrary, I don't know if that's a real word, character, he's not going to strike me as a 5 out of 5 for that reason alone. I think if you're a die-hard Turtle fan, this is the best Bebop statue out there, because it's done very, very well like we talked about. So he's not an X statue, but I have to give respect to the paint and the design and the sculpt and give him a 4 out of 5, despite the fact he is not that popular of a character. But let's start that discussion in the comments below. Can a character who's not very popular actually be a 5 out of 5 on a statue? Recently, I did it with a Banshee, who's not one of my top characters. You can actually check out the review right here, but he still is a crucial part to X-Men, where I don't think you're ever going to find anyone who is going to buy a Bebop statue to stand alone. So throw that in the comments. It starts an interesting conversation. It helps the visibility of the channel, and you might win the statue if you do that, because check this out. To win one of these Mortal Kombat statues, all you have to do is comment on a video. At 15,000 subscribers, I'm going to pick a random video and pick a random comment. That person will win the prize. They can choose between these two pieces. Also, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It's times like these, it's frustrating because I had to film it twice, but I do appreciate you sticking it in till the end. That's what she said. But check out some of these other Prime 1 Studio videos. I don't remember what side it's on. But the other side of that is the Mr. X logo to subscribe, because half of you have not subscribed. So go ahead and hit that, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Take care.